supplies and equipment that they had out in the open here under some sort of cover in anticipation of that. Regarding the buildings, the concern is still there. However, they have backed off of that evacuation order, or at least on the work site itself. What they did was, when they thought the threat may be imminent of collapse, they moved or repositioned the rescuers. They stressed that they did not bring it all to a halt, but simply moved them out of what they thought was immediate harm's way. And then the big news of the rescue story today, the discovery of a firefighting vehicle, a Chevy Suburban, actually buried under material, finally uncovered. That wasn't a surprise when they opened the door and 3 of 5 firefighters stepped out. Reportedly, 2 others had to be carried out, but the word is that there were 5 firefighters that were found alive after literally being entombed in the debris of the World Trade Center for 2 days. So those are the circumstances we continue to monitor here. It's a good news, bad news scenario, but of course it is played out against a very tragic backdrop. Aaron?
Martin, we saw just a few moments ago, in fact, pictures of those firefighters being brought to St. Vincent. We saw one of the guys walking, had an ID bag. We assume there's some real dehydration issues, but to just simply see them alive means an enormous amount. I suspect it means an enormous amount more to Sharon Cole, who joins us. Sharon's boyfriend is a New York City firefighter, and he is missing. It's good of you to be here. I've done enough of these to know that in the last several days, and none of the questions I ask is easy, and none of the answers are either. Do the best you can. Tell me what the last 3 days have been like.
Like how? It's been quite hectic. We have a 6-year-old son, and he asks for his dad, and then actually don't know what to say to him.
What can you possibly say? He must be terrified.
Yes, he is. He believes that his dad is coming home, but what if he don't?
I want you to tell me about your guy here. I can't see it as well as you can. Tell me his name.
His name is Keith Roy Maynard.
And how old is he?
30 years old.
How long has he been a firefighter? Can y'all see this? There we go. How long has he been a firefighter?
Almost 3 years now.
I got you. I'm sorry. He's been almost 3 years. And there we go. Thank you guys very much. Tell me about him. What kind of guy is he?
He's a very conscientious person. He has a good heart, honest, willing to do anything for anybody, you know. He's a good friend to have, you know. He's been so helpful to everyone. He would go to his last end to be there for anybody and do anything for anyone.
And when did you last see him? Tuesday morning?
Tuesday morning.
And kiss you goodbye and walk out the door?
The funniest thing, he wanted me to go and vote because I was going to school.
Tuesday, for those of you who don't remember, Tuesday seems to all of us a long time ago. It must seem like a lifetime ago to you. Tuesday was election day in New York City, primary election for mayor and city offices, and he told you to go vote in it.
Yep.
And he had walked out the door like that 1,000 times.
He was very happy when he left. He was singing, you know, being very happy. We had no idea what was going to happen.
And in all these other times he walked out the door, were you afraid?
Never.
You never
at
thought
first,
about the risks of what he did?
At first.
Yeah.
But I got some good advice from my mom and his mom. You know, he has a passion for it, and the most we can do is just, you know, leave it in God's hand.
When you heard of the rescue today, did your heart jump?
Yes. I thought he would have been one of the 5. And I know if he was one of the 5 that walked out, I mean, the first thing he would have done was call home to let us know that, you know, he's alive.
Are you getting all the all the help you need? Are you getting the fire department? I think it's probably true in every city. It's certainly true in this city. Is an extraordinary brotherhood.
It is.
And they take care of their own
Yes, they
in
do.
a very rich and wonderful way. Are you getting the support you need?
Yes,
And the city keeping you abreast of what's going on?
yes, they do. They keep the family abreast.
And is there anything any of us, anyone here can do that could be helpful other than just to keep you in our thoughts?
Keep us in the thoughts.
There are, like Mr. Maynard, a couple of hundred firefighters lost there. Every one of them, we suspect, has a Sharon or someone in their lives, and they're certainly in our thoughts today.
And his mom is
Yeah.
right word.
Thanks for coming in. I know how hard. Well, that's ridiculous. I don't know how hard this is. I can only imagine how hard this is. And I appreciate a great deal that you come in and talk to us, and it helps, I think, all of us understand that while buildings can be rebuilt, ultimately this is about people and their lives and what's changed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sharon Cole, how many Sharons are out there? Around the country. Okay, I need a second, we're okay. Around the country, Americans look at the people like Sharon, look at what's happened in this city, try and make sense of it all. We are, I suspect, as a country a bit closer in many ways over the last several days than we've been before. Jeff Flock is in Wisconsin today. He has been talking to people in the center of the country, the middle of the country, and he joins us now. Jeff?
Aaron, we are indeed trekking across America this week, trying to get a sense for what folks are feeling away from the disaster. We're in Port Washington, Wisconsin. This is the home of Allen Edmonds. Perhaps you've heard of them. They make shoes, the largest domestic manufacturer of shoes, and we're talking to people on the production line today, and I just want to get a sense for where your head is today, Rachel, 3 days hence.
A little bit of fear and sadness right about now because you don't know if it's over. Are there more things that are going to happen?
Is that your fear, that more is to come?
I fear that there is going to be more to come, or, you know, not even maybe now or maybe 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, or when my children are grown, what is to come of this if anybody thinks they can do it again. And sadness for all the families and friends of all the victims in New York and, you know, at the Pentagon and things like that, that they have to go through such a tragedy for something senseless.
I hear you. I want to move on. A lot of people were telling us today that up till now it's been shock, but now we're almost getting to the point of anger. What about you, sir? Where's your head today?
My head, I'm angry at what happened. I have a lot of faith in myself, our country, that things are going to turn around. We will be going after retaliation.
You told me you were hearkening back to the biblical line of
An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Yes, that's what it's going to take.
I hear the anger in your voice. I appreciate it. Thanks. As you go to work, as you spend your time out here, where's your head today?
Just that I'm a little scared. I'm afraid. I don't know what the future holds for my kids. I don't know if they're gonna come back and do this again or when they're gonna do it again. And I just pray that the president makes the right choice.
I want to also talk, and if I can sneak around to John over here. John, I know you spent a lot of your time traveling. The airport's open again today. Is air travel as we know it going to be the same?
Pardon?
Is air travel as we know it going to be the same?
I'm afraid not. I think we've been spoiled way too long. I think there's going to be a lot of irate people once they get used to the new system, but I think that's the way it's going to have to be, and I think people will
You're okay with
adjust to
that?
it. I think so. I am.
Also, some sense out in the hinterlands for how much this tragedy has touched people. Dean Carls, your son, tell me again, works at the Pentagon.
Yes, he's a lieutenant colonel stationed at the Pentagon. He's been there since the beginning of July,
You left work on Tuesday not knowing,
not knowing if he was alive.
and you learned?
Well, when I got home shortly after, I got a phone call, and very fortunately, he was alive. He said, "Dad, I got out of there all right. I got to my truck, which is a block and a half away, and I got home to Alexandria, Virginia, so he was safe." I mean, I thought he was dead. I was certain he was dead. And I want to express my condolences to all the families who lost members of their family or who were injured or lost in New York, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon.
Dean, thank you. Appreciate it very much. When you think about what comes forward from this, any ideas? You look into your crystal ball?
No, I'm just, first of all, I want to send my sympathy to the families in New York, the victims, their families. And right now, it's like we can't believe it happened here in this country, in the United States. We're afraid of what's going to be happening next for our future.
I hear that. I hear that. Vicki, thank you. Appreciate it. We don't want to get away without man who's president of the company. And you're all alike here today. Hey, John Stolenwerk, president of Allen Edmonds. Your head today. You were supposed to be traveling. You were going to a shoe show over in somewhere in Europe.
Germany on Tuesday, and we were at O'Hare Airport and got the word and turned around and came back in the car. We're about 150 miles from O'Hare, and I've been trying to get on ever since, talking a lot to United Airlines. And
we know that the airports are back open today, but you don't have any hope about traveling anytime soon, do you?
No international. It might start tomorrow, so we'll go down tomorrow.
You're a businessman. Give me some sense for the impact. You spend a lot of time on aircraft. I take it you're somewhat accustomed to some degree of convenience and being able to make things happen. Where are you thinking we're going right now?
Well, I don't think this is going to help the economy at all, and I do believe, along with my coworkers and friends and European friends and customers, that we should act decisively and quickly against Afghanistan and Iraq. And this should not be a legal debate with the cabinet and lawyers in the White House.
What are you talking about decisively? What are you specifically talking about?
If I was running the country, I'd declare war at this point. They've been tweaking us for years. They did our embassy. They killed those Marines. They've been at the World Trade Tower a couple of years ago, and it's time that we put an end to it.
I know the president's a friend of yours. Where's your shoes?
Right.
I know.
You bet he's a customer.
Do you have any hesitancy of sharing this with the president?
Well, we've sent some emails from here, along with my coworkers.
John, appreciate it. Thanks very much. We appreciate it. Our trek across the country, Aaron, will continue to get some sense for what people out here are thinking. Back to you.
It is a reminder, of course, that this is not just a New York tragedy, though it's certainly that, not just a Washington tragedy. It is an American tragedy. It is affecting everyone in the country to one degree or another, in some cases in profound ways, like Sharon Cole a few moments ago, and others in, I guess, more trivial ways. Major League Baseball has announced that it will cancel its games through the weekend, and the National Football League, which some of you may remember in 1963, after President Kennedy was assassinated in November of '63, went ahead and played its football games on that Sunday, has announced that by the way, Pete Rozelle, the guy who made the decision, said it was the worst decision he ever made, has decided the NFL will not play this weekend. Those games will be canceled, and they'll figure out how to deal with all of that. Judy?
Aaron, you're so right that this is a national story, because every one of those 3,000 or 4,000 people in the World Trade Center and in that area had family members presumably all over the country, and the same thing here at the Pentagon. The numbers are smaller, but every one of them family all over the United States. We did hear the manager at that shoe factory in Wisconsin telling Jeff Flock, it's time to go to war, it's time to declare war and do something. And our Jonathan Karl, congressional correspondent at the Capitol. Jonathan, members of Congress are talking. They're talking about a resolution of unity, of support, and so forth. But they're looking beyond that, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, you do hear many senior members of the Congress sounding very much like that manager, wanting a formal declaration of war. That unlikely to happen anytime soon. But right now, as we speak, Judy, there are top members of Congress from both parties, both houses, working on a declaration authorizing the president to use force. I have been read a working draft of that resolution. I can tell you that it contains basically two provisions that authorize the president to use force. I'd like to read you both of those sections. One authorizes the president to use, quote, all necessary and appropriate force against all who planned, authorized, committed, and aided these acts of terror. But then it contains something that's very controversial. It's subsection B of this legislation. Again, this is just a working draft that is being banged out between the White House and members of Congress. That subsection B authorizes the use of force, quote, to deter and prevent future acts of terrorism. Now, many members up here are concerned that that is too much of a blank check, giving the White House authority to take military actions against activities that haven't even happened yet. That's why these negotiations are ongoing. Members of Congress